Let's go for the certification creation. Why do I need a certificate? Okay, let's understand the authentication and authorization concept here. To connect to Azure, okay, either you'll have the user role or you'll have the automation role. As I've just said, user role is good if you are interacting with the Microsoft Azure. Right now, this is my user, right? This is my user that I'm using. This is a user role. But what if my automation script wants to connect to Azure? I need to have certain way to interact with it. For that, I'll be creating the service principal. For that, I need to create the application. Let's see how do we do it. I'll just go to the README file of the same project. Okay, here I've already given the steps how to run this. Set up the default path. Make sure you do setup source, set up the default paths. Okay, how to run a particular project. But then here we start to first create a certificate. Okay, coming back. So we need to create the application. We need to attach a service principal to that application. That service principal will have a client ID that it will give, which will act as a username. Okay, and then a password. Always to authenticate, we need a username and we need a password. So client ID will be the username for us, and the password can be a real password. We can set that, but better we can use a certificate instead of a password, which is acceptable when you are doing the automation in cloud, which is a better approach to do it. So that's why we are here creating the certificate. To create a certificate, we need to go utilize the OpenSSL tool, and this way first we need to create the certificate signing request. For just to showcase here, I'll do create a temp folder. Okay, cd temp ls. So this is the temp folder that is created. I don't want to touch my certificates right now, which I have already created, because those are already integrated. I want to keep things short here. So I'll follow along and create a certificate in this temp folder that I'll delete. But you need to do the same things, and you need to replace the certificate in the certificate folder. Okay, and in the real production, certificates will definitely not be in here. You need to pull it from service like Azure Key Vault, or you need to keep these certificates in some kind of secret storage. Maybe if you are triggering it from Jenkins, you can keep it in the Jenkins storage or somewhere. Definitely not here. This is only for the representation purposes. So I'll be creating first the certificate signing request using the OpenSSL new key. I'm using RSA. The key out, the first key that we'll be creating is service principal.key and service principal.csr. This is the certificate signing request. Okay, and it is asking me some country name, state, province, locality, organization, common name. If you want, you can provide all these things. If you don't want, you can just keep it for now. So you can see the CSR is created and service principal key is already. Okay, here I haven't done anything. Let me save this one. Let me go back to the README. Okay, now as we have the CSR created, let's generate the certificate using the using the CSR. So I'm using the OpenSSL X509. I'm giving the key, I'm giving the CSR, and my output will be a certificate that is a service principal.crt that I'll be using here. Okay, so the certificate.crt is created. So now I have the CRT and the key. I want to create a PEM file out of it. Why I need to create a PEM file? PEM file is nothing but the combination of the CRT certificate and the key. We need both to send. So I need to create a PEM file. So what this command is doing, it is concatenating the service principal.crt. After that, it will add the service principal.key and create a new file, and it will be concatenation of both. So now this particular key, PEM key, you see I have the CSR and I have the private key along with it. Okay, so both are created in this PEM files, and this PEM file will be using later and attach this to the service principal that will be creating. Let's go. And this part is only once that we need to do. Later things will be very simple, that you will be again and again rerunning the playbook, but this is only once for the authentication and the authorization. Okay, let's do the AZ login first. Once you do the AZ login, this is for us to create the application and attach the service principal. Okay, I did the login. I have the subscription, pay as you go subscription here. Okay, which one I need to use? I need to use the first one. Okay, I'm in. Let me do cd.ls. I'm in the home folder. I'm in the 01 folder. Okay, perfect. So AZAD app create display name app01. What is this doing? It is creating the application. Right now, do I have an application already created? If I go to the Microsoft Entra ID, and if I go to the application registration, view all application in the directory, right now I have one application app01, okay, with this application ID. Where I have created this, if you know, when I was in the regional variables, in the identities sp app01, the application ID starts with E65. Okay, so this is what the one that we are right now creating. So I've already created that, but for this sake, let me just replace this with 2. We'll be creating app02, but for you can just create app01. Okay, so this application I've just created, azad app list -o table. This will show me the list of applications. So now I have 2 applications. If you go and see in here, refresh, same thing I'll see here as well. I have a new application ID for app0. Check service principal list. So check this service principal list. We can list all the service principal with this. There'll be many service principal, but if we just see the app02 right now, do you see a service principal created here? No, right? Whereas in the app01, which is already created, you see a service principal with the name app01. Okay, so what we need to do is, first we need to create a service principal and attach it to the application which is created above, application that is app02 that we have created. Okay, so the command is azadsp create --id, and it to give the application ID. And what is the application ID for us? We have created app02. Okay, so my application ID is this. I'll be replacing the application ID here, and let me copy this, clear, paste, and create a S. Okay, it is saying that I have created an SP, if you see here. Okay, let me refresh this to say whether service principal is created. Yes, app02 service principal is created now. Okay, this is perfect. Let's go back, and now do you have a certificate here? Okay, we do not have certificate yet. To add the certificate, azad app credentials reset, and what I need to do is I need to give the ID of the application. What is the ID of my application? This is the ID of my application, which is app02, and then I need to give this certificate. The certificate is @ this particular, that means I need to be inside the certificate directory. So if I go here, I am in cd temp ls. So here I have the certificate. So it will only work when we are at the right directory. So AZ AD app credential reset, and we are giving our certificate PEM file to it. Okay, so it has created the certificate and attach it to the application. Let's see if it is reflecting. List the certificate of the application. So for that I need to use my application ID and replace it with this one. So AZ AD app credentials list. This is listing the certificate, and yes, there is one certificate attached. To see it in the UI, we can refresh the page and we should see that a certificate is created, and this is my certificate that is created. Perfect. Okay, so now what we did, we have created an application, we have created a service principal, attach it to the application, we have created a certificate and attach it to the application. So this is my application is ready now. Now what I need to do is I need to provide some RBAC to it. Okay, just having the application is not enough. I want to give some rights to that application so that it will be able to log in and do certain things. When I say certain things, it will be able to create the resources, delete the resources, list the resources. These are the RBACs. Okay, so I want to attach RBAC roles to the SP to associate it to the subscription. Command is AZ role assignment create. I need to give the application ID or the SP ID, it is the same, and then I'm giving the contributor role, give the subscription ID and give the scope where we need to provide it. So my application ID is this one. Okay, I'm assigning this, replacing this with my application ID. Role will be contributor, scope is subscription / you need to replace this subscription ID with your own subscription. You need to again go and check your own subscription details, and there you'll see the subscription ID. Okay, and you need to replace both in here and here as well. Okay, this way you will be giving some access to that application. Okay, contributor role is quite powerful. It can create resources, delete resources, or certainly list the resources. Make sure you give the minimum role required to any of the identities. I've given the RBAC. That means now it is having the contributor role. Okay, if you want to delete the assignment, you can utilize this command to delete the assignment. Here we can list the assignment as well. Just a minute, I need to replace the assignment list. If I just do clear list assignee, I can see a contributor role is assigned as a RBAC to my application. Okay, perfect. So now what you can do is you can log in using this service principal, and you can test the login. If you want to do this, just use the application ID. I always replace the entire thing. Let me just see the application ID. Okay, is it login? Replace the application ID. Make sure you have your certificate PAM file. So this command you need to test only in the temp folder or the certificate folder, wherever you have created the certificate, but the final folder for this particular project is the certificate folder. Temp folder is just for testing purposes. Okay, so the tenant ID is nothing but the Microsoft Entra ID. So if you go to Microsoft Entra ID, the tenant ID, you need to copy this particular one, and as I told you, it is common for all the environment. So I just did AZ login, copy pasted, clear, paste, enter. It is saying now that -p is no longer accepted in the service principal. If you want to use the certificate, let's use this certificate flag. Okay, instead of -p, let's go with the minus certificate and enter. As you see, we are logged in. Okay, we are logged in here and status is enabled. Perfect. Now we are logged in with the service principal. So we just set up the main authentication and authorization that is required. So you'll ask, like, will I be doing every time this kind of login manually? No, definitely no. Okay, this is just to showcase you that whatever steps that you have done, you are able to utilize these steps in the automation now.